Osiris.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Goose Chicks Podcast, an all-women-led show focused on the band Goose and the community that supports them. I'm Leslie Mack, producer and co-host. And on today's show, our own Alexius Lipot talks with two talented women photographers about working on tour and the state of professional live music photography from their perspectives. We're so excited to be joined by Jamie, who is a photographer, software engineer, and avid jam band fan based in the New Jersey, New York area, and also Naples, Florida. She has two Instagram feeds for her specialties: live music, aerial, architecture, and landscape photography. And we're also joined by Amy Caicos, who is a photographer, artist, and designer. I'm going to turn the floor over to Alexius and get into this conversation. What's up, Lex?
What's up? What's up? So, hey, ladies, thank you for joining us today. I very much appreciate it. We've all seen each other in the pit. We all do the same work, and well, we all work in the same pit, but we do completely different works from completely different angles. It's so cool to work with y'all and see how we're all at the same show, but have completely different photos. That's always the super cool thing, is just the different eye of just each of how we all work. And so I really enjoy seeing y'all's work, and y'all are two amazing artists and super excited to work with y'all. So the other morning I was reading an article, and because I'm very much dorky in the photography world, and it was saying that 60% of photographers are female photographers. And I immediately rolled my eyes, and I just sat there and thought about this, because I was just shocked by the numbers. I was just like, that's not the way it is in our world at all. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, sure, I bet they did come up with that number because there are a lot of stay-at-home moms that are trying to find an artistic outlet. And I know that was a part of what I did, when my kids were little, because I was just like, I have to have something to do. And so I did, like family photography and things, just doing that. And so that way that I could have my identity, and instead of just taking care of everyone else. But then again, that number isn't right whatsoever, because it truly doesn't shape the photography demographics. I wonder what the true percentage is of paid photographers. And so while speaking about this, we're going to chat with Jamie, Amy, and myself on what we see in the front lines in the pits. And the pit being in the photography world, if you don't know, at concerts and live music, we get 3 songs at the very beginning, and then we have to work all around the house after that, and the house being the venue that we're at and stuff. So we're going to just see how that is. And we know that there are not a lot of women in there. So in the Goose community, we pride ourselves on having a lot of females in the community and group safe. Would you say that that's the same for women photographers in the pit? Would you say that, Amy or Jamie? Like, do y'all see a lot of women photographers over time? Because we all do different shows. How many women? I mean, would you say that there are a lot of photographers, like, on a regular show? Would you say that it's more men than women, or how do you see that?
I mean, I think that,
Go ahead, Jamie.
Sorry. I think that depends on the band. I think it depends on where you are. In this area, there's a lot of photographers just in general. So I think that there's a lot of female photographers that I've seen that don't necessarily take pictures at Goose. So I think it just depends on where you are and that kind of thing, for sure.
Right. What do you think, Amy?
With respect to Goose specifically and the pit there, I would say kind of what Jamie said, the bigger cities, you have more photographers, you can have, 10 people down there sometimes. But usually I'd say it's pretty representative of the demographic at a Goose show. It's probably maybe a 70-30 split down in the pit.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I would definitely say that what I've experienced is there are definitely more women in the pit at goose shows than other shows that I've been to. But Jamie and I live in completely different areas, so it's completely different demographics of scenes, and so Amy, like, we all live in different areas, so you're going to get a lot of different answers, which is awesome. It's good to know everything. But so, Jamie, what inspired you to do photography?
Well, I guess you mean live music or just in general?
I would just say, I guess, well, let's just start in general. Because we're going to go into, what inspired you to do photography, and then we'll go into, to live music photography.
Right. Well, yeah, no, I originally got into it at least about 10 years ago because I have some health issues and I needed an activity that was not taxing and that would not inhibit my physical health problems I was having. And because you have to stand perfectly still and not move, it turned out to be the perfect activity. And so I started getting more involved as I realized how much I liked it.
Super inspirational also. So you're a genius at what you do, and then it was also inspirational. That's awesome. Amy, what inspired you to do photography?
Oh, she's muted.
Oh, yeah, I think you're muted.
Yeah, it's just something that has always been around in my life. I've had a camera since I was little. My grandmother, my mom always gave me a camera, and I remember, running over to drop off the film and go pick it up like a week later. So it was just something that I've always done. I have stacks of photo albums from years and years, and got really serious about it around 1997, 99, and bought my first DSLR my first film camera at that point, a Nikon, a real camera, as they say, and started at that point, 1999.
Wow, I love that, because I love hearing when people started with film cameras. I started with a film camera also, and it's really different when you start off, and it's a total different world, when you start off with the film cameras and then switching to the DSLRs, and just like they say, the real, a real camera, and that's what it was back in the day. Did you have a real camera? And it still is that, and it's a total different experience. And sometimes I feel like it helps me, and then sometimes I feel like it hinders me, from starting out with that and then going into it. And that's really awesome. So was live music ever, a dream of yours, or was it just something that you fell into? How did the live music photography happen with you?
Me? Well, it's funny. Those photo albums that I was telling you about, I went back and looked at them a few months ago. And one of the first concerts that I ever took photos at was a Don Henley concert. And it had to be probably, 1982 or 1983. And I remember calling on Ticketmaster and getting the tickets. And my dad took me. It was at Blossom Music Center, which is still around. And we had front row tickets, and I snuck in a camera, like a little Instamatic camera, and I took pictures from the front row. It's, and I have those pictures. I have them in a photo album. So, that was my first time,
So that was 1982, did you say?
It was probably 12 years old. Yeah.
12 years old. Yeah, that's so, yeah. And then we're 41 years later, you doing still we'll both have our, be on the front because we're both rail riders, and, sometimes whip that camera out because it's just such a good moment and stuff. But wow, that's hilarious. You started at 12. I started at 12. I got into it by my dad always got National Geographic magazines, and I was just obsessed with the photojournalism, and that's what I always wanted to do. So you started at 12, I started at 12, and, you know, all in the Goose shows. I love to hear the similarities and, you know, and how it comes around and how that brings you together. So, so music, so you did that at 12, and then now this many years later, you're still, you know, you're still doing it. And, so how did you like get into music photography? Because this is a hard, like, this is not something, you know, that just everyone can do, you know. So was live music a dream of yours? And obviously you said, you know, that it was that, you know, your health. And so, and I'm sure you loved music and photography and stuff because, you know, before you got into it, it just helped you, you know, the probably the health thing, you know, just helped you push you into like, okay, well, now this is something that I can do and I have to do to be able to enjoy things that I loved. Is that kind of the way it was with you? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I think to some degree, you know, I was starting to produce, you know, more high quality images, and I was seeing people like, say, Scott Harris and Andrea Nunez posting photos, and I thought, gee, I want to take pictures like that. Prior to that, I saw the photos and I thought they were cool, but it was sort of when I knew that I actually could do that with a camera, like I was physically making pictures that were like that, but of like the streets of New York City, that I realized, oh, wait, I could do this at a concert. And, oh, by the way, now I have something to do besides just sit there. So, yeah, no, it was definitely, you know, it took some effort to get into it for sure. Because it took like, you know, sneaking my camera in and like getting a portfolio, because it's very hard to have one when you don't have a way to take photos.
Definitely. A lot of people feel like that we have to, you know the band or something like that to get in. And it's just definitely, it's not more than that. It's the total opposite. You know, you have to, so, sorry. So yeah, that's really, it's really awesome and so inspirational that you know, that you still found the things that you loved and found a way to enjoy it just as much as you were enjoying it before. Do you feel that the typical male female stereotypes are in the photography pit and in the photography live music world? Do you feel that those are still there? And what types of stereotypes would you say, you know, would be in the photography pits?
That's a tough one. I feel like, I guess there's probably always some stereotypes out there. I feel like maybe I haven't experienced it quite as much. I've also just seen, you know, photographers who, for instance, are shorter than I am and I'm not very tall, take like just crazy photos. So I've definitely seen a lot of people break stereotypes that I was like, wow, I thought that I was at a disadvantage being 5'3", but that's really not the case. I've seen some people who are shorter than me take just shots that I'm like, how the heck did they do that?
So how do you feel like the photographers? Do you feel like the photographers treat you differently in the pit? Or do you feel it's kind of like, you know, that we're all there just equally as artists and happy to see each other?
I'd say generally anything that I've experienced is outside of the realm of the band itself, or, you know, the crew, or typically even venue staff or venue security. You know, typically it's interactions just with the crowd that happen. And of course there's, you know, various degrees of inebriation happening there at times too. So, you know, those conversations can get kind of personal or creepy at times. You know, I've not in general, but I've had some people ask me some very strange questions about, you know, who's a groupie, who's sleeping with who in the band, all these, who do you hook up with, all these weird kind of things. And, I just normally just kind of laugh and say, I'm a professional, I'm working. I mean, so I have to wonder if the male photographers would get asked that question.
Right. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And the male photographers are usually really good about it. We usually know each other and talk and speak. And I don't feel that I'm treated differently in the pits, with different, I don't know if it's some of their personalities or if it's, I don't know if it would be, if you could call it some of their personalities or just, but yeah, usually I don't feel like that is a problem that way. But I would definitely say with people that are watching that's been, and we've seen comments that are made online, under things that we put out there, that there are definitely comments that are made, well, how did you get that job? How did you do that? And it's not looking at, our photos are awesome. The band is sharing our photos, nothing like that. And not that we've worked with several different bands. Like how many, and like you said, Jamie, earlier, it's dependent upon the band. And I would say with Goose that I haven't been treated that way by anyone with the band or
I also think location. I also think, I tend to do a lot more stuff in the Northeast. I think it's pretty open-minded here. So I don't really feel like I've experienced adversity in the sense of, I think I've experienced adversity being short and not being able to shoot over 6'5" people. But, I could imagine that might be different though in other places.
Right. I'm kind of dancing around. I didn't even think about bringing this up. Now that we're in it, that there is, I've had this one person just attacking and just putting my photo up in different groups. And, how does she do this? How does she do this? And she has nothing to do with the band whatsoever, but it's just been a continual attack. And it was even before that, but that hasn't been a cool thing and it hasn't been fun to deal with. And, and for then I feel that person has made, and it's sadly, it's a female, has made a bigger deal and has made, something out of it that's just attacking, another female. And that's just not cool. But, it's, but as of the pit, and I feel, and just different bands in the Northeast, like you said, it's a completely different thing. Well, it's not a completely different thing. It's all different, just different places and different bands. I've felt that Goose has been a really good band to work with, and it's more the venues that have been, that have been kind of the issues at different places. And the one issue the one venue that we had, it was just that we've been to recently, that they were just very rude to, they didn't say anything else to any of the other to any of the male photographers. And it was just you have to do these 3 songs and then you get out. And they were just very strict about that. And that's awesome. That's cool. Just let me know the rules and then we're out of here. And there were different rules from different photographers. And so the second night we just decided we're going to do the three songs and get out. And, but they didn't harass any of the male photographers whatsoever. They harassed the female photographers. And because I was talking to one of the other male photographers and I was like, hey, so, it was at the I think it was like kind of towards the middle or the end of the second song or the third song. And I was like, all right, this is it. I'm supposed to go out now. And he's like, oh, just play it cool. Just see how it goes. Just see. And I was like, and the night before, the females were just like, one of the females was told, well, if you do that again, you can't, come back. And the venue was saying that, not the band whatsoever. And so, but then it was just interesting to watch, and I jetted out of there because I was like, I don't want to break the rules. I just want to be able to enjoy my passion and do what I'm supposed to do and not have a problem with anyone. So I went upstairs and was doing that and with taking photos, having a great time, and so, but it was just interesting to watch that this guy was allowed to, I think he got the whole first set down. He had the whole first set on the floor, like right there. And, he wasn't an all access photographer whatsoever. And so that was interesting to watch. And, and I mean, they knew he was there. They saw him a few times. And so, and Amy could have chosen, she had amazing seats and, but she was good. She didn't bring out her photographer, her camera.
Yeah, I was specifically chastised that I would not be able to bring that camera out from my seat, and I did not. And yes, that was a stressful situation, and it was a stressful situation that night. And let me just say that, normally photographers are asking questions of security. It's because we want to do the right thing. We want to follow the rules. We don't want to piss anyone off. We don't want to stand in front of anyone we shouldn't be standing in front of. And all the rules are different at, various venues. And, that evening, I know that at least 3 other photographers had questions about where can we shoot from, what's the rule after the first 3. And when I walked in that night, my husband was with me, and I met with someone from security because I always ask about house rules. I was told, oh, you have that, you're good. You can shoot from anywhere. You can do anything you want. You're good. Well, I mean, I knew that wasn't right. Okay. But I could have just been like, hey, that person over there told me I can do whatever I want. So, it's tough to navigate sometimes. And then, we can come off as, I don't know, being assholes for trying to ask about, where we can go and where we can't. And then to have a situation like that, yes, where you are very clearly told you won't be able to do X, Y, and Z, and then to see other people be able to do it and those same people observe it and have no issues. It is frustrating, and it does make you wonder, is that based on, a male-female dynamic? I don't know. But there's definitely something strange going on there. I don't know. Felt like that to me, that whole first set that night. It was just weird.
But honestly, like, I'm going to find the silver lining to this. I got a lot of amazing shots from the top. The fans were amazing. They're so respectful. It's, in the Goose community, they're so respectful of the photographers and their art and what we do and love to see it. And, and just, they're amazing. And so I was, at certain spots, and I was in the aisle. I wasn't trying to take anyone's place, but we end up knowing a lot of the people, and it was really fun. It was really fun just to dance with them and just to, and to be doing your work. And if there was one spot that was better, they'd be like, hey, I have a better spot over here. Like, I didn't even have to bother them. They would just be like, oh no, this spot is way better. So come over here and, switch spots. So that always makes it better no matter what. Like, the universe is a great thing, and it'll come around if you're being kind and you're being good, the good things will come back around to you. But definitely I I don't believe that we have progressed that far as to 100% equality in the pits, and I definitely feel that certain places, I don't feel like it's the band. I don't feel like it's I haven't had the experience of feeling like it's the photographers that we've worked with that have felt that way. Not whatsoever. I don't feel that at all, but it's still alive in certain ways and certain things that hopefully that will smooth out over time. And, and just as we're talking about this, like how can we work this out that, what can we do as women to try and help, smooth this path out for our sisters coming into it, other females. And I think that this is a good start, just talking about it and just saying, hey, we've gotten pretty far, but we're not exactly 100% there yet. And so, Jamie works in the Northeast, and it's really good to hear from you that's not as much of a case up there, that you haven't experienced that as much. So to me, that's a very heartwarming thing to feel, and because we see haters online saying things, but as of being in those places and experiencing it and feeling your safety, that's good to hear that, that you haven't had those issues.
Well, one thing I will say is that once you have a hater, you've made it. So I will say that. And also, as P.T. Barnum said, there's no such thing as bad publicity, so I will say that, yes, it is annoying to deal with it. I've certainly got my own troll for the aerial photography that I do. But so I get it. It's annoying to see the commentary, but, people are looking at your stuff. So there is that piece of it too.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's always, nothing's going to be easy. If it was, everyone would be doing it, and so everything's going to have its ups. It's good and bad. And that's the way that it is, just, we're not going to get around that no matter how it is. And so, Amy, do you feel that there's anything out there, one big thing though, we're just talking about in the pit and what we've experienced, but this is one thing, pay wise and, and paid photographers, and what, so we're, we all do through third parties, and sometimes we'll, I don't know how many times, I don't know what y'all's pay is and stuff, but, pay wise, seeing photographers and in the pit or, or all access, who's getting paid. What do y'all feel? Do y'all feel that is that's an equal thing? Because I have my Amy. What do you feel? Do you feel that you've seen an equal, an equal way for or equality between men and women in the paid, aspect of photography?
Well, I don't think that anyone's getting rich off taking pictures at a concert, so I don't really concern.
Hear that. That is 100% true. What she is saying, photography is a passion thing. It is not getting rich. It is not, this is our passion. So thank you for exactly bringing that out, Amy.
There are, famous photographers and famous rock and roll photographers out there working now, like Danny Clinch and, a few others that, yes, they get paid, and they get paid to do, album covers or video shoots or whatever it is. But those people are, almost a household name, if not a household name amongst photographers that do music photography. But I have no idea. I don't really concern myself at all with pay or who's getting paid what or how they're getting paid.
Right.
Because I just do it because I enjoy doing it. And, as I said, just to even for me to even bring money into it or think about money. It certainly costs me more money to do this than anything else.
Very much.
But Yeah, I have no idea on equality. I would guess that probably every photographer down there trying to sell shots is struggling equally.
Definitely. I definitely agree on that. I've been, like I said, I'm nerdy in the photography field, or it's my passion. And so I was reading about Beth Savaro, and she was the winner of Red Bull Press Pass. And so she's talking about, and this whole article is talking about like how working and staying relevant in the live music field, and just how the percentage is very much less, women to men in the and how much harder it is as a woman to be in the field. So and that is definitely something that I see as relevant, and that I've seen in working with different around. And I work in North Carolina and do bands here and stuff, and so I think it's something that's getting better, definitely. But I definitely see that is a true statement. And Jamie, what do you think, being in, and a lot of times it's hard to see who is getting paid. A lot of people, I think, Jamie, I think it was me and you that talked about this before, is like the reason that paid photography isn't as high is because so many people are flocking in to do it. And and they're able to, I don't know, it might not have been me and you, so I'm not gonna
I think it was. Well, it's like around here, there where I live, there's just so many people. It's really hard, and everybody's got a person and stuff like that. I think when you go to places where there's a little bit less density, I think it's actually a little easier to get paid. But at the same time, I also think that the people who are getting paid are people that like the bands just already know. And I think you have to work kind of hard to get in to a band to get them in a position where they want to pay you. And I think it's less about how good your photos are. And I think it's a lot more about the relationship that you have with the band, from what I've noticed. Because I know some people who are amazing and they totally don't get paid. And there's other people who just started out, and they certainly are taking good pictures, but maybe they're a little new to this. Their edits are, they've got some stuff to learn. So, and I've seen people like that getting paid. So, I think that it's kind of a crapshoot, really.
Not what you know.
A lot of times I think it does go down to that, and it goes down to how bad you want it. Because as we've all just discussed, you don't really get paid that much. So sometimes certainly I've had bands come up to me and hand me $100 and say, here, send me your pictures. Like I've certainly had that happen.
Yeah,
so.
The fans are amazing. I think that they're definitely they help me get through a lot. Just their sweet. Like, we really appreciate what you do, and that definitely, their love definitely means a lot. And because it is a passion thing, and we do. It's not just a free thing that, or, us getting paid a lot of money. And I'm happy that we definitely touched on that subject, because we don't, and certain things, it just depends on the market, it depends on the band, it depends on, I do want that to be said, because I don't want to, to take away from certain things that, yes, we do get paid for. And so, it all depends. But the big bands, it's it's just a whole different thing, and lots of people are flocking in to do photos. And so we get the photos, and we're able to do this and able to get those photos in our portfolio, and which is a great thing. And so how, kind of flip-flopping back and forth, how were you, getting into this, getting into being able to do live music photography? It's some of it for some people is who you know, not what you know, but that's not the case for everyone. And so portfolio wise, and for me, it was being able to provide a portfolio and, and for them to see, that's how I was able to, because I went with the band and so I was able to provide a portfolio, and I worked with smaller bands that, were in their management, that were under the same management. And so I had worked with smaller bands and had gotten better over time. And so they were able to see my portfolio along the way. And but that's not the case for everyone, how I know, Jamie, I don't think that's the case for you. I think that yours is different. Don't you work with, and that's a smart thing to do also, is like working with publications that
I work with bands also. I don't just work. In fact, I shot directly for some bands this weekend. But yeah, I do work for Grateful Web as well. So it's kind of it's nice because it's easy to get into shows that would be a little bit harder where they don't know who I am personally. Also, it's nice because the site that I work for is SEO optimized, and yeah, my galleries are out there. And if you search for Trey Anastasio, like my pictures are some of the first ones to pop up on Google, just be based on the website that I work for. So there's definitely some upsides to it. There's a lot of extra work because I have to write reviews, but which isn't a bad thing. Right. It's not a bad thing to hone your writing skills, because sometimes you need to write in order to sort of promote your photos. So it's not like the worst thing in the world.
Right. And that's really cool. That's really awesome. It's really awesome that you do that, and to hear. And yeah, and that's not it's writing the write-up. That would be something. I'm not the best with words. I think that people have been able to hear that over the podcast and I'm getting better about not saying and like and all, actually like finding the words to say. So that's a whole nother art in itself, is being able to do a write-up about it. What suggestions do you have, Jamie, for other females wanting to do live music photography?
I'd say sneak your camera in, see if you like doing it, because it's a lot of work. And as you mentioned, you work for some, maybe some smaller bands with a little bit of less pressure, because the bigger bands, there's more pressure to get done faster. And, you don't have as much time. Like, I know you mentioned the 3 songs. That's actually not the case for every band. It's like the bands I shot Friday, I shot the whole time. It just depends on the band. I think the band, the venue, all that good stuff. So I think, just making sure it's something that you really want to do. Because I think a lot of people think they want to do it, and then they start doing it and they don't want to do it because it's just so much work.
It is. It's that's such a good thing. They have these awesome little cameras that you can't take. And so to be able to get in and take a camera in, it cannot have a removable lens on it. And so if you get a little camera, are you back, Chica?
I am.
Awesome. If you get this little camera or any type of, sneak your camera in and somehow try and get it. But they also have this like small little camera that's awesome that you can't take the lens off. But it's a lot of work. It's not just this looks so awesome, and you have to figure out, and it's not for everyone, because you're not just sitting there and taking songs, and certain people are 3 songs, certain bands are different, and certain venues, a lot of times it's also venues that do it, because I know that Goose, they'll let you do like so far in, and then, you can be downstairs, you can go in, like we can be at our spots and they'll let you take them. But it's, I lost brain spasm, but it's a whole lot different than what you think it is, and it's a lot of work. And I know I definitely, like, thank heavens I was into a lot of different types of photography. More photojournalism was a big one, and so that's why I was just like, oh yeah, let's try out this this live music photography, let's see how this goes. And but it's definitely a lot more work than people think that it is. And it's my husband, we go to shows and he does not see me. Like he'll see me while I'm in the front taking photos. And then after that, I'm gone because I'm all over the place taking photos. And so it's a lot more work than people think it is. People just think it's, some little fluffy, airy, light, cool job. And it's very cool to hear the music. It's very cool to be able to take these photos and see, especially when you're an artist, to be able to do these things. But it is a lot more work than people think it is. And it's not just all as what in their mind that they have it brought, what they think it's the coolest thing ever. And just like people think about musicians, like, oh, that's the coolest job ever. They don't realize that they're not sleeping for days on end, that they're, that it's weeks on end of them not being able to do anything, them just completely going from place to place. And if they have a couple of days in a row, if they have like a 2-day show in the same place, that's just like let's jump for joy, hallelujah, because we can actually get, more than a few hours of sleep. So it's a lot more than people think it is. But Amy is back with us. She's got her sound back and working. And so Amy, let's jump in where you took off, where we left you. And I think that was with,
how did this start? I think
yes.
Is where we were at, or how do you do this? And I get that question a lot from people, but you all do as you're moving through the crowd or, taking shots. Hey, how did you get that?
Or in the back room.
How did you get that? How did you get that photo pass? Did you win it in a fan contest? Did you, I've had all kinds of questions. And
a fan contest?
I don't know.
I know, but it's just funny to hear the things that people will say. And those things never leave your mind. That's like why, yeah. That's why I was just saying a fan contest, like those things are just like, you're like, wow, did they,
Yeah.
And
if you stop to try to go through the mental gymnastics of like, how did you get to fan contests? Like, yeah, you just got to keep moving.
Right.
So, a lot of things that you touched on were interesting and also about getting paid. But, same, submit a portfolio. How I started was I just, like most things in my life, I decide like there's something that I want to try and I just do it. And my attitude has always been the worst thing that can happen is they can say no. And
you're in the same spot that you were when you asked.
Exact same spot. So, I had already been taking some pictures with my cell phone and doing some video and, creating a lot of content for Goose just in that way, just because I see a lot of shows. And, for me, it was that situation that, yeah, sure, I have the portfolio and I have the published work and I have all of, that resume stuff. Hadn't really done credentialed live music stuff, as you know, because we're busy sneaking our cameras in. And I had given that up probably in the early 2000s. I wasn't really sneaking the camera in anymore because I had transitioned into doing professional photography in the Caribbean. So I wasn't really doing that. But building that portfolio, putting it together and demonstrating too that, you can be a professional with the photos, that you're going to turn content, that you're going to put those pictures out there, that you're going to be a good ambassador for your client and a good guardian of their image. So, there's a lot that goes into it aside from, what kind of camera do you have and holding it up, and I can do that. Also, you talked about the work, in addition to, bringing all your gear in and never knowing what the situation is going to be with your gear and if that's going to be an issue or where you're going to be able to store it or what you're going to be able to bring in. There's a lot of anxiety, just getting ready and bringing that with you. But, it continues after the show, because now you've got maybe 1,200 photos that you're going to sort through, and you want to get some out, quickly. So when everyone else is out partying and doing things, you're sitting on the bed in the hotel room, downloading images and picking 10 that you can get out quickly. So yeah, it's something that sometimes I question myself and say, you've got to really love doing it, but you make your show life more difficult. In some degree, you are very privileged to have a very intimate situation where you're photographing these artists so closely and interacting with them. So, that's the trade-off. That's where you've kind of got to keep in mind that the art itself, the work that you produce, and the work that you produce in tandem, in concert with your client during that show is why we do it.
Yes. And it is, just like you said, it is, you always have to remember that and we do remember that we are very privileged to be able to do what we're doing, and to be a good ambassador of of how that we are privileged to do this. And so that's always very important, and in your portfolio and having that out. So there's more to it than just if you know someone in the band. There's a whole lot more to the photography than people give credit. And it's awesome being able to talk with you ladies today and being able to hear some of the things that go in. And I hope that earlier what I said, some people just get upset about things, and that I shouldn't be apologizing for that, but just thank you ladies for being with us today and talking about the things that are so important in the photography world, in the music world, and live music, and trying to set those stereotypes aside and what that we can do. And I think that things are already on its way, and Goose is a great example of how the women are important, and to equal it up. And sometimes I look in the pit and there are more females than there are males, and so and Goose is really good. Adam Berta is absolutely amazing. He is the main photographer for Goose, and there are other photographers that they'll have come in on different shows. It's not always just Adam Berta. Usually Adam Berta is there, but Goose is awesome to also have other female photographers to have female photographers and other males. And so they have I think they have a couple of female photographers that work for them and that'll come in on different shows. I think the West Coast, they have Get Tiny, I think that's her name. And then they have Abby Fox, and, their main, like I said, is Adam Berta. And then they have Nutch. How do you say his name? Jamie, do you know how to say his name? I think we're all kind of, Leslie, do you know? Nooch. Okay. So now I won't call him Nutch. So Nooch and
then there's Quinn as well, who's out there.
Yeah.
Quinn, yeah.
So, yeah, Quinn. And then I think Kendall sometimes might come in. They have quite a few, but it's awesome that they also have some females on there, So I think that's the thing that has to be done, is just, different bands taking on and having more females, and us also being able to do that.
Alexius, can I speak to that quickly?
Yes.
Too? You're talking about, having more females, and I'm sure there are people asking, why? What's the difference? And it's my opinion personally that with clients, there's just typically a different response between people. or there can be a different response because people may feel more comfortable being photographed by, someone of a different gender, same gender, whatever. It just maybe opens up their creativity or makes them a little looser. So I think that having that dynamic, and you said there's been times when there's more women than men, and that was at the Cap. I think it was me, you, and Jamie in the pit, and there was one guy in there, and it was fun. It was fun, the three of us down there, and that was a unique situation. But I think that it's just a different perspective. It's a different energy. It's a different viewpoint. And I think that that's the benefit. And I think that sometimes there's, between clients, there may be a different interaction because they feel more comfortable or at home, or whatever the situation is, when you have a big huge piece of glass pointed at your face and that someone's taking a picture that's going to be plastered everywhere. I do think that there are benefits to switching up that energy to generate some of that content and some of that art.
Right. Yes, I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people are probably like, why is this a subject? And thank you, Amy, for bringing that around. And to me, like you said, comfort, people being comfortable, but also their fans. When men are taking photos, they don't know how to make the man look, extremely sexy, what the woman is looking for, what those what us women fans want to see and how we want to see it. Yes, we want to see those awesome, amazing photos of action shots, and we want to get those also, but also we want to see those sexy photos and those moments of, what female, what we want to see. And that's what, the different eye from different things. And that's what makes it amazing, is to have, these photos and this photo to please both sides of, to please everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I would venture a guess that everybody wants to see the sexy photos.
True. Yes.
I know in going through the pictures with my husband after a show, he's just as enamored as I am with some of the shots. So I think that
definitely
it's more so about that interaction, about that rhythm, about what's happening in the photo pit at the time that you are. It's a collaborative effort, really. I mean, it can be, if you want to think of it that way, and that you're working with your client to make something lasting, forever. I mean, I approach every show thinking that, I'm Mick Rock and this is David Bowie, and I have no idea that this guy would be, a world icon. But I'm sure as hell going to shoot those pictures like he's going to be, and that somebody 40 or 50 years from now is going to look back at my work and how's it going to hold up, or how is it going to be received? So, that's another thing. There's just so many things we could talk about, motivations and kind of headspace and where you're at and how you approach your work and what you're working towards. But I think the bottom line is the more viewpoints, the better.
Right. And definitely I agree. And yeah, there's a lot of different things that we could talk about, and and I think that we should in different ways. This one, definitely I feel like it's it's important to make sure to help other females, because I get asked a lot in the bathroom, like, how do you do this? How are you able to do this? And my response is always, at home, start shooting the bands at home. Adam Berta, his original company, Focal Points at Local Joints, and that's what you just have to start. You have to start doing things. And that also helps our art community at home, helping grow the art communities at home and as you go and meeting different people and just gaining the different experience. So that's what I wanted to do, is try and help, the other female photographers and, be able to get out there and try and give that inspiration that no matter what, that you can try and do it and do it. Get out there and do it. Don't be afraid of it. Just like you said, Amy, that's probably like my favorite comment is my favorite thing that I always say is just go ahead and ask, because the worst thing that you're going to get is a no. You'll be in the same exact spot that you were before. And if you get a yes, you're just moving forward. So go ahead and, and try and do what you want to do. So, but this has been awesome. And I thank you ladies so much for coming out and discussing this with us today. And so I look forward to seeing you ladies soon. Will y'all be in Chicago?
I will not. Next up for me is St. Paul, and then I'm on through San Diego.
Awesome. So you got the West Coast. Sweet. That's awesome. So Jamie, have you figured out Chicago?
I'll see you in Chicago on Saturday, just that day, and then I'll be out in San Francisco.
Sweet. Awesome. I'm gonna have to get y'all to get me a shirt. I just need a t-shirt from Warfield, so if one of y'all could just grab me a shirt, I will send you the money, and so just that's all I need is that shirt. So, but thank y'all so much. And I'm excited to see everyone's, I always love seeing y'all's work. I kind of stalk y'all on there just to see what's going on.
We're all stalking. All of us are stalking y'all. Just know that you're always taking your photos constantly.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting this conversation to Alexius and moderated. I was like, I kind of want photographers to talk to each other. It'd be really fun for folks to hear how you all interact with each other. But I do want to give an opportunity for Jamie and Amy to let folks know where folks can follow you and support your work. We'll start with you, Jamie. Where should folks follow you and where can they go to look at your work?
Well, I've got multiple Instagram feeds. My live music is at Live Music by Kilowave. And I'm also known as Kilowave. And my aerial and landscape photography is listed under Kilowave. Pretty much everywhere else, everything is just Kilowave. Like Twitter, my website is Kilowave Photography. But on Instagram, I have a split, which can be a little bit confusing. But then you get focused on either live music or the landscape stuff.
Love it. Love it. We'll have all these in the show notes so folks can just click right on there and follow Jamie. And now, Amy, where can folks follow you and find your work?
Instagram, Amy Caicos, AMYCAICOS. And then on Facebook, you can follow too, Amy Caicos. So I usually post photos there regularly.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, everyone, make sure you follow Jamie and Amy and support their work. Share. I know that's a really big ask from photographers always to share their work so more people can see and follow them and they can spread, their following and more people can get eyes on their work is always the best. So definitely do that. And then, Jamie, I think you do sell prints, correct? So folks can reach out to you directly for that, or?
I do, depending on which band it is.
Gotcha. Of course, it's like a different thing for each band, but definitely.
It's a little different. But I do. And obviously my landscape, my aerial and all that is 100% for sale online.
I love it.
I just say reach out to her, see if that one's available. If it is, it is. If it's not, it's not, because it's really hard to put out each, photo that's available and stuff. And then also that gives a little love knowing that someone appreciated her work that much, that someone wanted to purchase it if it's not for sale. And for all of your artists, that's a great thing that you can do is just give, a like, follow their page and give a comment once in a while. And you don't even know how much that means to different artists and stuff. And so just do that small little thing. But yeah, just reach out to each one of them and see, and, make sure to like, follow, and reach out to them if there's a print that you like and see if they sell it.
Absolutely. All right. Final words, ladies, before we let you go and get this show wrapped up. Any final thoughts? What are you looking forward to in this upcoming tour? Not just even spring, but summer as well. They've got a lot of dates out here generally, especially around Goose. What venues are you looking forward to shooting, Jamie? Amy?
I'm actually really looking forward to Santa Barbara.
Ooh.
I've heard it is so beautiful. So I'm kind of itching to find out what that next night is. But
I know, right? They've got all these shadow dates out here. I don't know exactly
like, are they going to play the Westville?
Right. How about you, Amy? Any place you're looking forward to shooting?
Yeah, Eugene Theater coming up. Yeah. It's really super small, so looking forward to that one for sure. And Bozeman.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll be doing Seattle too, so I'll be a few. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, thanks, y'all. Thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you very soon.
See you soon.
You are. I can see the future. I can see the stars. You can see what you see because you are who you are. White lights. So when I hit up a dream last night, do you fall into the outside? I'm still sleeping.
Western Sun Foundation is back on the road after a very successful CAP campaign, contributing $6,000 to 914 Cares in Port Chester, New York. They will have a table at the Chicago and Seattle Goose shows and will soon be announcing another beneficiary for the next campaign, so stay tuned. If you are heading to Chicago, like Goose Chicks podcast, Western Sun Foundation is hosting a volunteer event on Saturday, April 15th from 10 a.m. to noon at Share Our Spares Share House, helping sort and inventory donations of baby and toddler essentials for children in need across Chicago. You can register by visiting Western Sun Foundation social media pages. And make sure to stop by the table at the shows. And as always, visit their website, westernsunfoundation.org, for more information on how you can contribute.
Goose Chicks podcast is produced by Leslie Mack with support from sound engineer Mike Dwyer, co-host Alexius Lipot, that's me, and contributors Chelsea Long and Hannah Liebrecht. So special thanks to our sponsor, Ben & Jerry's, for their support, especially Jay Curley and Jay Tandon.
We are a proud member of the Osiris Media family. You can check us out on socials at Goose Chicks Pod and on our website, goosechickspod.com, where you can find our first ever merchandise drop. Remember to subscribe and leave us a review in your favorite podcast app. Also, tell a friend about the show. It really helps us out. Don't forget, you can also call our voicemail number and leave us a message. That's 704-275-3128. Until next time, be kind to each other out there.
Osiris.